I'm going to just read a statement that I made up for this occasion, and then read a few poems. And so here we go. You all said such elegant things. Okay. So this is. I just want to talk a little bit about my vision for this. And I'm not a great extemporaneous speaker, so that's why I write things down. So, being a poet laureate is an honorary position awarded to someone to recognize her or his achievements in poetry. One aspect of that recognition is to consider the poet's publications, books of poetry, or single poems published over the years. Becoming a published poet takes a certain amount of perseverance, dedication to the craft, a desire to share one's work as widely as publication permits, and a belief in the creative spirit that is at the heart of any artistic endeavor. Another aspect assesses the poet's way of bringing poetry to the community. And one way this happens is through the teaching of poetry by means of workshops or classes. Teaching poetry is an activity that requires interaction with individuals, interaction that is friendly, kind, helpful, and non-judgmental. It also requires openness to the very individual ways that people choose to express themselves. The third aspect of recognition happens when a poet has the means and ability to read her or his work in public, to share the sound and sense of the specialized language that is poetry. Ideally, the spoken word helps us connect with one another. It inspires others to think, feel, and understand their own experience of life in a more intense and insightful way. It may help the hearer to find a way of bringing his or her own experience into the light that poetry provides. I applied to be the Pikes Peak Poet Laureate because I believe in poetry and what it can do in the same way that I believe in art, music, dance, and other forms of artistic expression. I believe poetry can save lives by doing the mysterious work of allowing a human being to say yes to life, to the intensity of love and sorrow, grief and joy, the pleasure of connection with others and with the natural world. I hope the poetry project I proposed can provide tools for self-expression. This project will involve people in creating digital poems that celebrate the natural world of the Pikes Peak region. Titled Tapping into Tava, the idea, Tava Kia being our mountain out here, the idea is to work with poetry and technology in the same way that digital story projects work. In a series of workshops, poets would write a poem or poems about Tava Kia, the Ute name for Pikes Peak, or about the environment around Tava, for example, about the Garden of the Gods, or Fountain Creek, or Manitou Lake, or their fossil beds near Florissant, or about the old mines and mining towns, or about the fauna and flora of the region. The poem should engage with the world out there in some way. Along with writing poetry, people will take photographs. These can be done with a digital or film camera or with a phone. The photos do not have to be professional quality, but some visuals of the area the poet attempts to capture in words should also be produced visually with a camera device. So that's the basic idea, and then we'll somehow work with computers. I know this can be a stretch for some people. Believe me, I went back to school in 2008 to get my library degree and found out it was nothing about books anymore. It was about technology. And so that wasn't exactly a rude awakening, but I know that I had to stretch a lot to learn those things, and I was in my 60s when that happened. So it can be done. And I'd be happy to talk with people after this about a little bit more about that project. I don't spend more time doing that, but I want to read a few poems. As Aaron mentioned, I have some poems that are more formally structured. And so I'd like to read a series called Feather River Sonnets. There are about 10 poems. So I've sort of repurposed the sonnet, I guess, in the sense that it's actually become a kind of narrative. They're sonnets, but in a sequence, but telling a story. And for a little extra background, my tribal affiliation is Koyankawi. And people will say, well, what is that? Konkau is the anglicized word for our tribe, and my tribe's from California, from the Sierra Nevada, up in the mountains. Feather River Sonnets 1. They lease a cabin where the river bends. The canyon's wider here, but steep just north, where summer clouds have billowed in. He tends a big garden on the floodplain. On 4th of July, we visit them. Mom's sister Lil and her husband Ivan. A 3-pack smoker, curmudgeon, a sour trickster with a stubby thumb from his lumberjack days. Lil sews, cooks, presses flowers, crochets afghans, knits socks, cans fruit, and cleans. She carps about the stifling summer heat and says she lives too far away. But if I harp, he'll take me to Smorgies. She winks and nods. He soon comes in with carrots from their yard. 2. Sometimes a rattler slips into the grass and creeps along with raised head and flicking tongue. Ivan, grab the dog and make it fast, Lil shouts. Our heavy uncle runs, ticking off the yards in seconds to scoop the pup, a chihuahua named Itty-Bit, who snaps and growls because my uncle will not let up teasing him. But he adores that dog, wraps him in the crook of his arm, carries him everywhere. Ivan seizes a hoe to behead the snake, and if we tarry outside a moment, he will curse and throw a rock to herd us away. Ruffian of sorts, his words are gruff, his old face grim. 3. At the cabin, relative peace prevails. We hardly fight. No one yells, storms, or cries, or feels called upon to stretch the truth, lie or dissemble, grades, who cares? No one fails, at least not much. We can dress like boys, no one disapproves. This willful ignorance is nice. We hike, fish, swim, run, kick the can's our favorite game. We watch the river flow, pick gold poppies on the road, listen to the wind that blows each afternoon. Our mom seems merry away from home, and Dad from worries about money, about him who does what dads do without family near. Funny things, perverse, all a little queer. 4. Our mom and aunt were born just down the road when muleback was the customary mode of transport. Goods came by a train, and a stagecoach ran from Inskip through red dust and sage and dry manzanita. Things smelled of sweat, leather, wool, coal, and smoke. People would get letters written in ink by pens with brass nibs. Dearest mother, just a line to ask, how are you doing? How are Cindy, Jacques, Leander? Has Dad struck gold? Did the flock of ducks survive? Did your old cow give up the ghost? 50 years later, we feel ruptured from this past. Almost. Our mom and aunt in tandem laugh. Bring back those times. You can't. 5. Of course, the river's dammed up now, says Mom, and Jim Lee's pergola is gone. He tapped the soda springs for tourists and mapped a place for picnic lunches near our home. Folks came by train and walked the trail. There was no highway then. Jim kept a stone beneath his arm. The boy said, if he throws that rock at your feet, you will die, frail and consumptive. We knew he had power. Practiced Indian cures. Strange things went on. The spirit world was present. Now they're gone. Remember the ceremony, the flowers we picked when Mama died? She asked Aunt Lil, singing to that wild river. Neither smiled. 6. The kids would never tell me what went on in Indian school. I know that it burned down is all. They came home scarred, hair full of lice. Dad cut it short and they used turpentine to kill the bugs. It stung their scalps. They cried, the girls did. If you get that in your eyes, you'll go blind, they said. Mom waits a spell, then resumes. They built another great school in Belden. The kids went there. They learned to read, write, do math. They never felt spurned by their classmates, and they liked their teacher. I was young, but I have walked 10 acres to go to that school. As little as I was, she cries, fiery determination in her eyes. 7. We hike up Yellow Creek to Grandpa's claim, an old abandoned mine, cabin with worn planks, dynamite beneath the iron frame of the bed. No gold now, only the torn face of the cliff, wind and cedar and pine, and the cold creek, numbing the cold and clear, breaking over rocks, splashing us with fine spray. Late in the afternoon, a mule deer comes down to drink from the glistening pool by the boulders. Skinny water snake glides past our legs, all brown speed and sleekness, fooling us. It's not a twig. Day's heat subsides, much like Grandpa's dream of fat, easy wealth. He died poor, a drunk, in consumptive health. 8. Aunt Lil will not admit that he was cruel when he drank. Our father would beat his sons till the blood ran down their backs. The only one he never hit was me. I was too small. Mom sighs. We're seated at the river's edge on a sandy bar in warm, bright sunshine. I glance at her face. The dark, furrowed line between her brows has deepened, a hard ledge of memory. The river splashes by. A tanager alights in the wind-whipped willows. It flits yellow feathers. We've dipped our hands in water, prayed. We ever try to appease what burns, what lacerates, the loss of trust, ferocious tears, old hates. 9. The boys all scattered when our mama died. The girls found work in the city, housemaids. Our dad shacked up with Annie Lee and stayed drunk. Sister Bertha never liked the lights and came back home to the mountains. She passed away young. Mom's tales fill my tender heart. West of us, Mount Ben Lomond stands, parts white, puffy thunderheads that mount up fast at canyon's rim. I know we Concow have lived here a long time, hunted and fished, told stories, had ceremonies, had wished to keep old ways and family ties, no doubt. But everything we loved, says Mom, seems gone. Earth and homestead, our tongue, our place, our songs. 10. Mom wakes us early. It's Monday, full moon in the canyon. Home to Berkeley, the bay, ocean fog. We'll have eggs, toast. Pretty soon we'll be on the road, silent and dismayed at having to leave this place. I hate goodbyes, but the canyon shimmers in light from the moon, and now that sad, longing ache begins to wane. Granite looks slick at night beneath the lunar glow. At 8, we're home, having sped down the Toon Lane Delta Road. I know the river's back there, fine, red loam, serpentine and mica rocks, the sunny load of water, smell of sawmills, yellow pine, things I claim, though they never can be mine.